And then the about section is typically, I mean, some people are really good at this, right? But like the mistakes are they talk about all about their last role. So if someone's an independent executive coach and they worked for 30 years at Chase, JP Morgan Chase, usually the bio is like line item after line item of their role at Chase. And then it'll say, oh, and now I'm also an independent consultant.
Show more of what you can do for people now.
100%. And
hello and welcome to Stories and Lessons. My name is Amy Ebert and I'm your host for today's podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Drew Saenz, a former fitness coach turned corporate wellness and LinkedIn lead gen strategist who's mastered the art of utilizing the platform as a tool to build real business, not just rack up vanity metrics. In this episode, Drew breaks down how to turn your LinkedIn presence into a magnet for opportunities through strategic networking, authentic content, and yes, setting healthy boundaries. Whether you've ghosted your profile or post daily without results, this conversation will get you thinking differently about how you show up and connect. Drew, if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about, you are somewhat of a LinkedIn expert, right? And that's something where a lot of people have a lot of problems. I talk to so many people that are like, I paid, the couple $100 or whatever to get my name optimized on there, and all these different things that people are doing. And it seems like there's needs to be more of like a full strategy, that type of thing. But for you in particular, how did you even get started? Like, why is this your niche? How did you get going down this road?
Yeah, so my first business started in 2014, and we did B2B fitness. Like we'd go out to companies and do group workouts. So naturally, I'm like, where do I find these people? And LinkedIn was the place. So yeah, I've been on there since 2016, and it's been for me a really good opportunity to build relationships and meet actual real people. So for a lot of people, I think when they're going through career transitions, marketing their business, they could invest in a lot of things LinkedIn wise and kind of get like a bad ROI or a bad taste in their mouth because they didn't get a lot of results initially. Like, for example, if you were to hire someone on Upwork to do, your banner, your about, and all that fun stuff, and then the expectation is you're going to get a better job, you're going to get a new client, you could. But typically the results come from relationship building, providing value, and really just like staying diligent with it each and every week.
Okay, so what are some things then if somebody was going to stay diligent on LinkedIn? Like, what are some overlooked pieces that people aren't doing? What are like the must-haves, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I think if you're someone who is in a career, like in a job role, it's continuing to network. It's continuing to be, if you, for some reason you got laid off, like who are your next 5 calls, and you're not a stranger when you call them. So I would say if you're in a job, like continue to network people in your company, people externally. And then from a business perspective, if you're self-employed or in sales, like your entire pipeline needs to be part of your networks. And that's not just LinkedIn, right? You could do that on other platforms too. But that's where people miss the mark, is measuring like, did we grow connections on LinkedIn? Did more people see my stuff? Like that's the focus versus like, did all my past clients see my stuff? Or did I meet, someone who could help me with my next job transition this month or something along those lines?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And you particularly you still have like kind of niche clients that you work with as well, just like a few particular areas.
Yeah, and the reason why is, so if someone needed a profile set up and like their banner changed and their about written, like we could do that for just about any business and or professional, I'd feel confident. But the outbound content and appointment setting, it would be very expensive if I were to do it for like attorneys and financial planners and, all these different niches. So with that, because of my experience in fitness and because real estate professionals are self-employed just as fitness professionals are, those are 2 groups that I've been able to help on an ongoing basis connect with their clients, build more relationships, and just get better use out of the platform itself.
Mm-hmm. And as far as fitness goes, you said that you're like coaching your kids' sports teams and things too?
Yeah, so I am. Like growing up, I thought for sure I was going to be an MLB player. And then I didn't make my high school baseball team. So there's a big disconnect in like what I was doing and what I was able to do or what I thought I could do.
So you said you didn't make the team?
Oh, because like, I don't know if you know baseball too well, but when you go from like 6th, 7th grade to 8th grade, the field gets astronomically bigger. And if you can't throw, 50 yards from shortstop to first base, like you're going to have a problem. It's almost double from the infield. So that like kind of got me, back just into trying different sports. And then football is what I landed on. And I thought I was going to be a college football coach, and I wanted to, coach D1. And I did an internship with ASU here locally. And then I realized, like, if I have kids, I'll probably only see these kids a few hours a week because of the schedules those guys maintain and those girls maintain. So for me, being self-employed and being able to coach my kids, pick them up at school if I want, like that stuff is important to me. And I've certainly, from like an opportunity standpoint, sacrificed some things, but like big picture, I think it's a good trade-off.
Yeah. My son is an athlete too. So we are like, I mean, as you know, especially if they're involved in competitive sports, it's a huge commitment. And
So like multiple sports, your son?
He is multiple sports. He started playing competitive soccer when I think he was still 5 or 6, competitive. Yeah. So it was like 5 days a week. And he's like kindergarten, you know what I mean? It's just.
Yep. So you gotta be close to home.
Oh my gosh. And it's year round. They have like Christmas break off. I think that's about it. Maybe a week in the summer, and you're back at it. And it's really, it's a huge commitment. And then you have to be really involved. Then you got to work with them on the side also. And there's so much to it. It's so fun though, but it's addicting, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really addicting.
Mm-hmm.
And competitive athlete parents are probably not the easiest for anybody to deal with either, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because my oldest is 7 and we've only done rec, but I've been in touch with a few club teams. And the stuff that they're doing, like we're doing our first basketball season this summer, and they're like, hey, we have basketball tryouts. I'm like, we've never done basketball before. How are we going to try out? So
yeah, they're like 7. You're like, they're trying out?
Yeah. So
yes.
it gets busy pretty quick, or it gets, serious pretty quick.
Yes. And so then he wanted to try all the other sports too, because he's an athlete. Like he's good at all sports. So it was like, well, I want you to try everything too, because we've seen that where people will just do the one from a really early age. Mm-hmm. And, after 12, sometimes they get burnt out and the kids just don't want to do it at all anymore. Mm-hmm. And when I started studying a lot, I went really deep into the long term of that. And the majority of the people end up not even working out later in life.
No way.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Ugh.
So it's more of a detriment. So it's like, okay, so let's take time off as much as we can. Because then it's like he's also tall. So then we'd play him up. And it was just like, well, how many levels up are you going to play him? And then it's like around the ages when kids start going through puberty. I'm like, I don't want to be playing him up, when all these kids are getting
muscles and yeah.
Yeah. So now he's doing competitive basketball.
Love it.
Loves competitive basketball. And it's so easy too, because you can be playing at your gym. It's such an easier thing. With soccer, we bought the huge nets. We're going to the parks. We're putting up these huge nets. And we're doing all this like on our own even.
Right.
And then with basketball, you don't even have to bring a ball, because if you have it at your gym, they have the balls there. I mean, you just go. Of course, they got to have their basketball shoes. But yeah, now he's doing competitive basketball. And really loves it. He loves it all though. He loves it all. So it's just like, that's why it's like we still try to fit in all the different sports too, because it's like I don't think they really need to be into the one. And there's statistics behind this. This isn't just like moms thinking. There's statistics behind it, right? That show they don't really need to settle on one until maybe even high school.
I mean, like I went to high school. I grew up with one guy that did go to the major leagues, and he was awesome. And in high school, he played baseball, basketball, and football. And he never played basketball before, I think, until high school. But his parent, like, that was what everyone was telling him, like, hey, get the kid moving, let him be an athlete. And yeah, I think the competitiveness is so important. And then to your point of like working out, like it just teaches them how to take care of themselves, how to take care of their body. And they at an early age make the correlation of like, I'm out of shape, I'm not playing well.
Yeah. The taking time off from all sports and then getting back in, there definitely is like you got to soccer is one of the easiest ones to just stay in shape for, because you're just running all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I just recommend it for anybody's kids, really, just to get involved, not necessarily competitive, right? Because that's a more grueling schedule, but I mean, something better than rec, right? If there's that version, or at least a coach where they're going to be always doing something, always being active, that kind of a thing.
Absolutely. And changing it up for them based on what they want is important too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So you were doing stuff more so with the athletics, and then your business model changed.
Yeah. So, original business vision back in 2014 was to do youth athletic development programs to help kids get in shape for sports, because I was like not in shape for baseball. And I was doing that. But then I had quit my full-time job, and I was doing that, like making like not a lot of money. So I'm like, man, what do I do here? Um, and my model changed to doing some more personal training, and that led to the corporate wellness work that I did. And I still do some of that. Um, and then like we had kids, and when we had our third pregnancy, I was still going out to work sites where I would have to leave at like 6 a.m., sometimes travel for it, for our corporate clients. And I'm thinking, like, how's my wife going to get these two kids to school and have this baby here, like by herself? Because we are fortunate enough where she is full time home with them, but it's still like, it's a lot of hands on deck because they're at the time they were 6, 3, and then newborn. So that's when I decided to start my LinkedIn agency, where I was like, hey, I can help these people get these outcomes, pretty much do it from anywhere, which has been awesome. And also allow me to be, available in the morning. Like when we were all sick, like we were talking about before the call, like if I had to be like at an office and call an executive and a boss to cancel that stuff, that would be so stressful for me. Whereas now I have a lot more flexibility.
Okay, so walk us through the process here. Do they reach out to you and say, hey, I want to optimize my LinkedIn? Or do you have other ways of, I'm sure you get a lot of your clients just through LinkedIn. Like, walk us through the process of like how you acquire your clients, and then what that looks like after that for what like their goals are and that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So we always do a complimentary profile audit. And how I connect with people is we'll do LinkedIn outbound. So for fitness professionals, I'll introduce myself and say, hey, I'm Drew. I'm here local. Been a fitness professional since 2016 or 2014. Would love to show you how to better leverage this platform for your business. And then that'll lead to an audit, and I'll show them like, hey, we need a banner. We need a company page. We need some good marketing here, and tell them why. And then if they want to partner with us, we can help them set it up. So that's one way on the fitness professional side. And for real estate, I've got some great relationships here in Phoenix with title agencies and independent real estate brokerages that just don't have the marketing support. Like most of those folks are very busy, 20 years into their career, and don't want to dink around with like changing their banner or anything like that. So we're a resource for them. Same thing. We do a profile audit, set it up if they want some help, and then really just run their content for them, and then make those introductions depending on what their goals are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're saying some people don't want to change their banners?
The people that we work with, like, it's a very simple, in my opinion, it's like, I've been on social media for 30 years. It seems like it's very simple to do. But the clients, the real estate agents that we work with, they're 50, 60, 70 years old. They don't want to even think about logging in, but their clients are looking them up on there. So they're like, man, we can't not have anything. So it's like they're outsourcing it to us instead of learning how to use the tool.
Right. Okay. So what is the percentage of your clients then that are like, where you teach them how, or you do it, or you just do it all? Is yours a whole done for you?
I would say it's 50-50 because everyone starts with setup. It's like, hey, let's make sure like your profile looks great. Like let's do, all those things for people. So they're set up on there. And then it's 50-50. Some people are like, hey, teach me a cool tool that I can use. Teach me how to do my content, and they'll run it. And some people are like, hey, Drew, we don't want to deal with this, and you've already done a good job setting it up. So then we'll do the activity on their behalf.
Okay. And then is there any type of automation with it? You know how there's the automations that you can do, like, ManyChat, Go High Level, that kind of a thing for non-LinkedIn platforms. There's like ManyChat is Instagram and Facebook. Go High Level can be Instagram, Facebook. Is there automations like that for LinkedIn currently?
So there are a couple tools. They're a little bit different because I'm familiar with the Go High Level plugin to Messenger, and that's awesome for Meta, right? The ones with LinkedIn are like a third-party software, and what you do is you use them, you curate a list of people, and then they connect with on your behalf and send messages on your behalf. And a couple that I've used that work well, one's called HeyReach.
What is it?
HeyReach,
HeyReach?
HeyReach, yeah, and they'll follow LinkedIn's guidelines of like, hey, you can only send this many connections per day, this many messages per day. So that's a cool one.
Does it have the automations though, where it has the autoresponder and?
Good question. That HeyReach does not. It'll automatically follow, like, message, connect, all that stuff. I'm learning one called Prosp, like prospect, but PROSP.
Huh?
And that's supposed to have the smart responses. I literally implemented it like Friday last week. So it's supposed to have the smart responses. So we'll see. Like in my world, response rate is important, and we've gotten more success doing like manual. A VA looks at a list and sends it out manually for a better response rate. So I was like always adverse to this, but I'm testing it. And I'm going to see how it works.
See how it works. Okay, so but normally you guys are using like somebody on your team to do the responses for your clients?
Yeah, so typically we do the introductions and then the client will do the inbox management. Like we'll let them know. I'll be like, hey, Amy, this person's just responded, but they're going to reach out, set the appointment, all that fun stuff. And our service is pretty darn cost effective currently. If I can figure out that AI booking thing, it may be more because the owner doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah. The AI stuff is so crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
And
certainly.
where there's some that even you don't even have to have the responses, where it's more like ChatGPT type thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you put in all the information about your business, obviously, and somewhat the route, but they'll even be more humanish, right? There's something like that.
Totally. Yeah. They'll like say, hey, I saw that you got a new job recently and, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's really, really, really cool. Okay. So what are some of the most common, so you're particular in these niches, but I think it would still relate to other people with like, other people that are in the coaching or consulting or personal brand type space. What are some of the most common mistakes that people make?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one, getting too fancy with their branding on LinkedIn. I think people like you can certainly, if you have like an offer, you could put that in your banner, but I think people prefer more of a professional, sleek look. So that it's either not having a picture or having too much of a picture. So I would say do that. And then
Like maybe a confusing type, like you don't really know what the CTA is, or
right. Like it's got their brand all over it. It's got their contact information. I think a simple call to action like grab your free book in my bio with an arrow is good.
yeah, like some kind of a lead magnet, just like that.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Visit the newsletter, something that's directing people there. But the banner's very clean. It's that and like one or two colors and maybe your logo. Because I see people where they've got their headshot on the profile, their headshot on the banner, and it's like super overwhelming. So one, I would say keep it simple. And then putting that link in is important. A lot of people don't have that link set up in their bio. If you're
So you're saying a lot of people, they're either, it's a bit of a mess, and then they won't even have like the link at all.
For sure.
Okay.
Like most people, if you go to their LinkedIn profile, in my experience, no banner. They don't have a company page. So if they're like a coach or a consultant and they're self-employed, I would still recommend you have a company page on there, no different than a Facebook business page. And then the link in bio, and then the about section is typically, I mean, some people are really good at this, right? But like the mistakes are they talk about all about their last role. So if someone's an independent executive coach and they worked for 30 years at Chase, JP Morgan Chase, usually the bio is like line item after line item of their role at Chase. And then it'll say, oh, and now I'm also an independent consultant. It's like
show more of what you can do for people now.
100%. And
instead of like your resume.
Well, yeah, you could attach your resume many places on your profile for sure, but the about needs to be like a new client goes to look you up and what do you want them to read? It's like, hey, I help this person, we do this because of my background here. I have some expertise, but it's not the main thing. Just Amy, when you're out there looking on LinkedIn, go to people's thing and like literally the first thing will say 10 years, 15 years, 25 years, and it's talking about past stuff.
Instead of, hey, here's the thing I can help you with first to grab their attention, and then here's the proof that I have, here's the experience I have to do that thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that holds true if you're self-employed or, looking to get a better job, get a promotion. Yeah. So I think regardless of self-employed or working at a company, it's important.
Do you ever have people coming to you that are looking for jobs, or is it more so like brands, like the fitness coaches and the realtors?
Mostly them because they are self-employed and they need some marketing help. And most marketing agencies charge like, 5 figures just to do a rebrand of a profile. So for
Just to do the
one,
rebranding of their LinkedIn profile?
sometimes like there are agencies now that are very focused on like paid marketing, and there's a big setup fee with paid marketing. So it's like we're going to charge, X amount of dollars, redo all the branding, and then the company has ad spend. So my end is like helping the businesses that maybe don't have, $1,500 a month for ad spend. They want some organic leads.
Hmm.
So we definitely go about it that way. But people looking for jobs, like I've helped some folks who are executives in companies do their personal brand. So it's like they're still vice president of this at this company, but they're also, Drew Saenz, operationals executive with X amount of years experience. That way, like more and more people want to be attractive in the job market today, even at their current role, because it helps them with negotiation power and all that. So yeah, I
Yeah,
help.
personal brand is really whatever, even what your particular role is at a job, you still want to think of it, I think, as a personal brand. I mean,
100%.
you don't want to be unaligned with the company, still
Right.
aligned with the company that you work for, but you never know if you need another job.
No kidding. And that's my thing is like we have to advocate for ourselves like crazy because there's so much out of our control with a client canceling, with a company changing.
Okay, that was one of the things I remember that you had said that you kind of wanted to speak about a little bit too. Do you see this a lot? Is this more so like personal, or do you see this with your clients with the boundaries?
Yeah, I think it is both. And what I mean by that with boundaries, like personally, if you're someone who is typically working like a 9 to 5 job, and then you said, hey, I'm going to go start a consulting practice, there are a lot of boundaries that you're going to have to put in place for conversations that your old employer has with you, for the way that people that treat you, and for your time too. So I don't think that's out there enough with people who are self-employed or making big career changes. Like we've got to self-advocate for ourselves a ton. And it starts with like, if you don't take calls before 8, don't take calls before 8. If you need 2 to 3 business days to reply to a client, like hold true to that and let them know on the front end. So I think that's really where I'm coming from, because my experience in workplace wellness showed me a lot of people 60 plus who were about to retire, and they all were so afraid to like say what they needed personally in their job role and the projects we were working on. It was all like, what does the boss say, right? um,
Interesting. Well, because they had been working for somebody for all these years.
totally, totally. And even in that role though, like I think I'm a millennial, right? I'm 35. So the people in my circle typically care more about their summer vacation than their Q3 goals at work, typically. And they're going to set those boundaries with their employer. And unfortunately, like the older generation, like they don't always want to hear that, right? They don't want that prioritization. I think it's somewhat needed in a sense, both if you have a job and you value yourself, and if you're going into business, because it's really easy to let your career soak everything up and not be present at family stuff, and also let things from what you were doing before slow you down in what you are aspiring to do now.
Yes, like the old version of you that everywhere the people around you want to keep you there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you
Mm-hmm.
have the new version that's inside still that you know you really are, that you want to have represented on the outside now. It's like sometimes it's like the people around are not accepting of that, right? They're not accepting of the new version. It's kind of like, but wait, now I'll have to grow. Don't make me be uncomfortable. Kind of what people are saying without realizing it, right? It's like, wait, but if you grow, that means I'm going to have to look at what I'm not doing in my life, right? That kind of a thing.
Totally, totally. And it can be hard, especially a lot of us like value our social circles. And I'm not saying that stuff isn't good. I'm just saying like if our goal is to have a successful career, we have to prioritize like the personal brand, the networking, improving ourselves, the sales, the marketing, if we want to be able to make it work long term.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's the thing too with the personal brand that people miss. It's like, it's really, it's not, your fonts and your colors. It's like your values, like what matters to you, because whether we want to be honest about it or not, we all have cognitive biases that are just been there wherever we are around. I mean, and so does everybody else. So we're always being affected by all these thoughts that are not even our own, that are coming in our heads. And so it's like taking that time to really be clear about what does matter to me, and what is an amazing life look like to me, and who do I get to be, and what does that look like for my family? And in particular, more so the family that's like the one that you're a spouse and a parent, that one. Because sometimes even the people that raised you, if you have older siblings, if you have cousins, aunts, uncles, teachers, coaches, whatever, might not necessarily want that for you. And so you have to do it anyway. I mean, that's my thought process on it. And even like being in sports as well, it's just like, we do a lot with the mindset with my son. He's naturally very ambitious anyway, but I'm like, no one gets to put any limits on you. I'm really stern about that, where it's like, we have to be respectful to whoever the coach is at the time. We've been that parent that has a conversation every once in a while, but it's like, because we do want to keep the relationship and improve things. Like, I'd want somebody, if I'm coaching and there's a way that I could maybe do something better for the kids, I would want to know about it. Right. So
Absolutely.
if it's stifling, something's wrong with the coaching, because it's not like you're trying to be like, let's niche you into like with yours. It's like, it's not like you're trying to coach your, these businesses and be like, we need to this is not a version of stifling you, but we're going to niche you into an area so that the right people, you're calling out the right people. That's not a version of stifling. It's so that you can raise your prices and attract the right people and that kind of a thing. It's the stifling where it's like they don't want you to be your best version. And some of us aren't even aware of that in the moments, right? Because people are not always conscious of what you're saying, what you're doing. How many people have really taken the time to do the personal growth necessary and then keep at it? It's not something that it's a one and done.
Right. I agree. And it's such a hard, for those of us on the personal growth journey, it's a very hard world to communicate with everyone else who's extremely busy and like not willing to like look inside,
Yeah. Yeah. And do you feel like that when you're coaching some of the people, because you have like half is where you're coaching them, obviously on very specific, do these things for your LinkedIn profile, but don't you think isn't part of it also mindset with some of your clients?
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not good at persuading them to have a better mindset. So today I did a presentation on LinkedIn outbound for training gyms, fitness training gyms. And the first slide, fitness training gyms, like training studios.
Yep.
And the first slide was like mindset. And it had this book called The Go Giver on it. I don't know if you've heard of The Go Giver. It's a really good book. And it's like a business concept where a young guy gets mentored by an old guy. And the old guy's like, hey, reciprocity, let's go give all the good and we're going to get good back. And that's how I think about LinkedIn, because anytime we're doing outreach, we cannot just like ask someone something that's going to cost them money and like they don't know anything about it, right? So I think the people that are willing to have that go-giver mindset where they're willing to let people try their services for no cost or low cost, they're willing to give free gift cards, they're willing to give free books and like show up, like those are the people that we can partner with. Whereas like I've definitely connected with several folks where they're not working for free, they don't want to sound salesy when they show up for people, and that's fine. Like I could persuade them or not. I typically don't.
You typically don't try to persuade them?
Yeah, because I mean, I've had some clients in the past where they were very adverse to like for example, if you were a training gym trying to show up in the local community, we would pull a list of all the executives and connect with them on LinkedIn and say, hey, we just opened up, would love to have you in for a trial session. Some people, if that message goes to like a past client or a past person they know, it feels like a stab in the gut. And some people will be like, sorry, that was our marketing team. And it's a much bigger headache, the stab in the gut folks, because like they just have different expectations of what we can accomplish for them on there. And so those are the ones that I'm like, yep, I recommend you do this yourself, focus on 25 people a week and just kind of, go the slower route.
Okay, because they don't want like it to get out to their current clients. Is that what you're saying?
They just don't want to look silly. Like, for example, if you and I met at a networking event and you were like, hey, Drew, I want to have you on my podcast. And I'm like, Amy, I'm way too busy. And then the next week I got a LinkedIn message from you. Some people would be like, oh, Amy, I told you that I'm too busy. Some people, would just bat it off.
Okay, so they're afraid to do the follow-up. Is that what I'm hearing?
They're afraid that the message goes to somebody that maybe isn't appropriate to get it because of the past relationship.
That would be a good course in and of itself, right? Because, I mean, I'd love to say this in a way without being political, but so I'll try to leave names out of it. Okay, there are certain people who you'd think the people would never have a relationship with that person again. And then that's like how you can get better at that art of communication. Even if you can freaking turn a no into a yes and make it that that person wants it in some way, right? Where they all of a sudden have these relationships with these people, that's part of negotiating, right? Everything's kind of a negotiation. So that would be a really even something for people that are afraid to go back in, or it's the wrong person. And because all of these fears, like, oh my gosh, it's like, but what if it's the right person? What if it's just the wrong time? You know, what if it's the right person, but it's the wrong time, and you could really solve a huge problem for them, but they're not in that headspace currently. So if you keep getting better at it, then I would think that you can find those right people even better, because now you're going to keep doing whatever it takes to dial in the messaging so that they can hear it, you know? And then I think it does come down to knowing who your ideal client is, that kind of a thing. But also sometimes you have to just kind of throw everything up on the wall and see what sticks sometimes too with things, right? To find that. Because some people don't. They're like, I have no idea and I wouldn't even know how to start. Because I talk to some coaches that are like, they're really averse to just people, you know, people I know, not necessarily clients, but that are out starting their coaching business, and they really don't want to like say no yet to anything, right? So then they don't want to define their right. It's like, it's okay to define it, and then you can still say yes to something that's not, but it's okay to know for yourself.
Absolutely. My mentor puts it in a good way. He says, like, I'll help that person, I just won't pay to market to find that person. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's a great too. Exactly. My marketing message is not going to speak to them at all, right? But if they come along and they are, I mean, as long as they're not like that client from hell, I guess, that some people end up like just stopping coaching altogether.
Right. Totally. And I think it's all timing though. So like, to your point, I think that's a great way to think about it is, hey, this is a touch point that we're going to reconnect with your sphere in a different way. We're not going to say the same thing with, you know, hopefully a better timing for them.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah. And then if they like just forgot that was somebody that they were like, no, you know, like, and then the next time it's like, well, I mean, you don't, I mean, it's kind of like, I'm not going to shoot. Last time I shot the basket, I shot the ball into the basket, it didn't go in, so I'm not going to shoot anymore.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think some people feel that way, and
that's not a very good medium to long-term strategy.
No. The ones that are successful certainly don't feel that way. They're willing to let everybody know.
Yeah. I mean, I'd almost say challenge yourself then to those people. Anybody listening right now, and any of them, challenge yourself to deliberately do that like 100 times with the scariest people that you think are just going to be like, no, how dare you? Like, just challenge yourself to do that in that extreme. Be like, all right, I think Jordan Peterson calls it a dragon. Like, that's a dragon then. That's a dragon for you to overcome. Yep. Don't even look at it like I'm going to have my 100 no's this week, right? I'm going to have my 100 no's with the people that I think are going to just be so angry that I even approach them in life, right?
I love that. Yeah, you're going to build the muscle like easy if you take that bet.
Yeah, exactly. How, like, the confidence that, because then eventually it's not this big scary thing. Because even people that have like he would do that with a client of his that had a fear of elevators. So first they would start with just like looking at photos of the elevators. He would start like, because it's like, I mean, what are you going to do then? I'm never going to go in an elevator then. Like, let's break this down. Let's, you know, overcome this, you know, one step at a time till they finally just went to a place where there were elevators. And then, I mean, I think he ended up having to even go with her into the elevator, you know, I mean, whatever it takes to just be like, wow, that's something that I'm fearing, this thing up here, and making that so huge that I'm not even doing anything purposeful in my life here that can move my life forward and the other people that need what I have to offer. So I think it's like, that's kind of why you do it, right? To just make this not so scary, because it's just a person that's going to just be annoyed or not or whatever. I mean, you don't know. They might be like, oh, wow, I was looking for exactly that thing.
Totally. And in my experience, like if you don't know them, they're probably not going to respond. Like maybe 2 out of 10 people max will. And if you do know them, they're probably going to be happy to hear from you. So it's like, it's a win-win.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, if anybody, if I haven't heard from them in a long time and they have a business, it's like, yeah, tell me about whatever it is. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be interested in it. I mean, it's not my obligation to buy their thing, just
Right.
like it's not their obligation to buy my thing, you know?
Right.
Okay. So back to the LinkedIn stuff then. So that we have their profile set up. Like, what are some things to do for the profile? And then it's like, how would you say, you're saying that there's kind of a wrong way and a right way to kind of start those conversations on LinkedIn. Obviously, hiring you and having you guys just do the intro is a great way to do it. But what about for people if they're just like going to start those intro conversations on LinkedIn? Like, what would you suggest for them to do?
Yeah, so the first place I would say is like look at your network. Like go to LinkedIn, see who's in your network now, filter that down. If you have a brick and mortar business, it needs to be by location because they got to come in, right? If it's online, it can be anyone. But one, like look at your network and actually follow up with a personal thing about that person. Like, hey, Judy, I really had fun working with you at, Safeway 10 years ago. I see that you're at Deloitte now. I would love to catch up. And if you're someone in sales, like to me, those catch up calls are very productive because you get to share, they get to share, and you maybe get a referral or a client, or the worst case, nothing, right? But at least like you got a sales call on your calendar. Yeah. So I mean, like if you're super busy, don't look at your entire network, like look at people who would be interested in your stuff. But if it's like, hey, I just need to get the word out, look there, send something personal. And then the second phase would be, I think content marketing is important because if you're showing up in people's inboxes without them able to like see anything from you is kind of not as tactful as I would like to be. So I would recommend people do a newsletter on LinkedIn. They've got a really cool newsletter feature where you can build subscribers. You can do videos. It can be longer form content, but like just one post a week, even like post something. And then from there, you can do those introductions to new people. If you're a business coach and you're trying to help small businesses, then meeting like CPAs, attorneys, other people that help small businesses would be good from a networking perspective. Or you could search those people out directly. But the introduction is never like, hey, here's what I do. Here's how you can sign up. Let me know if you're interested. It's more like, well, hey, would love to introduce myself. I'd like to get to know my network. Would you be up for an intro call? Something along those lines. Here's a free book, like really just leading with value first. And then I think the key though is like those personal conversations, like actually knowing the people. And then once you get good at that, you can worry about all the fun AI network growth stuff.
Yeah. Is the newsletter a pretty good thing? The newsletter, that's the LinkedIn newsletter, is that pretty valuable? Do people does that help them, or is that more like a long play?
I mean, in my mind, LinkedIn is always a long play, like compared to like a Facebook ad or something like that.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean within the first month you can't have like 4 leads if you're actually connecting with people and doing messaging and all that. The newsletter is valuable for a couple different reasons. One, you get to title it. So when people subscribe, they're subscribing to your thing, like whatever your thing is, they're subscribing to it. And then when you launch it, it goes out to everyone in your network. So everyone gets an invite initially. And then any new connection will be prompted to subscribe as well. And then the author can see that subscription list. So for me, I use it for follow-up. It's like, hey, these people said they were interested. I'm going to thank them, and then I'm going to ask.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay. So then the people that subscribe, you'll follow up with them directly.
Totally. Like my newsletter is called LinkedIn Success Systems. So I'll say, hey, thanks for subscribing. What got you interested in being successful on LinkedIn?
Yeah. Yeah. So then you can also find out what people might be interested in or what they're needing or where they're falling short.
Totally. Like I have a friend who does some very small boutique business coaching. He's in Canada and he helps people get their first 100,000 a year. And that's what his newsletter is called, is your first 100K.
So simple.
Right.
So simple. And
look,
that's great because a lot of people don't want to work with the beginners.
True, 100%. And his program is $300 for the year. Yeah, it's for very new people, and he's a really good dude. He does some corporate wellness.
Clearly, he's a saint.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's like the harder part, right? That's why a lot of people they start coaching. They're like, oh, I don't want to work with a new. They're like, I
Right.
really want to be a consultant.
Like I want to have a full CMO marketing strategy, and the people are like, how do I connect with someone on LinkedIn? You know what I mean? It's very different.
Yeah.
But that newsletter, people get it in their email inbox too. So if they're subscribed, LinkedIn will send them an email, and you'll get data of how many emails went out and the open rate. So it's cool, but I would say like wherever your main media is, like take that same content and integrate that into your LinkedIn newsletter, and you'll be all set.
That's a good point. Right. Are you primarily LinkedIn? Are you utilizing the other platforms much, or?
Primarily LinkedIn. We'll set up people's Google business listing if they need it. And then we'll also, for ongoing clients, we'll post on Meta for them if they'd like. But the lead gen, for my expertise, is like LinkedIn. Yeah. Like I know you can message people on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, but I don't think you can filter them by like job title and demographic and location as good as you can.
That's true. That's true. There's another add-on, and I can't remember what it's called. It's not LinkedIn, but there's another extension that that I cannot remember what it was called, but that will filter based on like who are good matches for you.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. If I remember what it is, I'll look it up and I'll send it to you, the name of it. But yeah, it's an extension, and they'll just show you all the people that are your good matches. Yeah. So that's obviously very, very helpful. And then some people actually do that. What they do, then they have the business where they'll help their clients. They're like, okay, I did all this for you. Cause some people don't even want they don't want to do the part where they just even have the extension and have to look it up for themselves. Right.
Nope.
So use the extension to find their good matches and then give them the list. And
Cool.
the funny thing is actually she was like, and they still won't follow up with the people.
Right. Like even my people that have been with us for a year, I'll send them leads and get messages back like 2-3 days later. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like you need to call this person within a couple hours. So yeah, I think it's just natural for people that aren't operating a high level business to kind of like put that stuff off and get busy in the day-to-day work. Whereas like for me, I'm really trying to get better at the business development stuff where it's like, yep, clients operations is very important, but you can't like leave the workday without doing lead follow-up. Like that's got to be a big deal.
Yeah, and then that would probably be another point too, right? If you're going to do LinkedIn, like if you're going to commit to that platform as your main platform, then you need to be on the platform, right? You need to actually be on it too. Have whatever notifications you need sent so that if somebody does message you back, you have you have the notifications on so that you're aware of if you've stepped away, because there is the lag time with the lead as well, because especially nowadays with like the distraction, social media, there's so many distractions nowadays that it's like they've moved on. They forgot they even had that problem.
Right. Totally. And I think too, it's like, we all know, like I catch myself where, oh man, I scrolled a lot today. And I'm like, and then the next day I'm like, I don't have any time for lead follow up. And I'm like, really?
Really? Yeah.
I
Right.
think you
Like put
do.
it in the schedule, right? Be like this time to this time, every day, at least daily, right? If you can't be, you don't want to be, I understand you don't want to be glued to your devices, but it's like if people are starting slow, would it be helpful to have like, okay, so this time to this time, you're following up leads and you just stick to it. Would that be okay?
I think so. And I would think of it as like LinkedIn is just another touch point. Like I think it's like top of the funnel because when someone says they're interested, you go to email, go to phone. But if you don't hear from someone from email and phone, like just circle it back to LinkedIn and see how it goes. But yeah, I think having a block time to like, I would call it respond to notifications, because even people that comment, they might not be a lead today, but they are people that are in your network that engage with your stuff and could be someone down the road.
Or even possibly a collab option too for people too. It's like thinking it like maybe it's just it's a good, especially like in high ticket where it's good to have some collabs to create a really powerful offer. So it could be somebody where they have something that is different than what you have, but maybe you're just starting and you don't have a network, but you have a massive work ethic and you take a bunch of stuff off their plate so you can, whatever it is, right? Whatever the situation is. But yeah, exactly. Just kind of keeping that going. And that's probably, you'd think that people would be so good at it after we had to be home for
I
such a
know.
long time. You'd be so good at like these connections online, but it's just, it became more of like just scrolling and
Yeah, I think that's something
consuming.
I do want to share. I would recommend building a spreadsheet of the people that you do want to engage with on LinkedIn. Like even if it's 10 people that are,
Oh.
to your point of the high ticket power partners, and go to their feed, look at their stuff. But then also, like, I agree with you with the scrolling thing, and it's a time thing. Like we can get so easily distracted on LinkedIn, and then an ad comes and we're looking at that and on a different website. So like even 25 minutes of like focused online networking every day is super solid. And then making sure you keep track of it too, like who's a prospect, who's not. That way you're making it worth your time.
So if somebody spent even a minimum of, like you're saying, 25 minutes, 1 hour a day of the networking aspect, they're probably way ahead of so many people.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Like content's fine, but like if everyone in your connection base doesn't know what you do, I would start there for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. Okay. So closing thoughts, Drew, on what you want to leave people with, or how they can get in touch with you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think what I want to leave everyone with is just that self-advocation for yourself professionally on two sides. One side is like show up on a professional platform like LinkedIn and glow like you should, because most of us are doing a great job. And then second, like be willing to set those boundaries with yourself, and like letting time-wasting social media creep in, as well as letting past relationships or work relationships get in the way of what you're working towards. So yeah, just want to share that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because it's just like, if we don't take that time to get clear about what we want, then that's where the burnout happens. It's not because we're working so hard towards something that we just want so badly, right? It's like, or we know that's true in our hearts. It's the burnout is like, you're just like not really doing anything that's driving your life forward. You're just like living in everybody else's mediocre version of what life could be, instead of doing like, well, wait, what if it was great? What if it was great, and what can I do every single day to move towards that? And you have to take that time and then get clear, yeah, right, with who the client is and the reach out. But like you said too, you'll take the other client too,
Right.
but you are going to be clear about who you're marketing to.
Yep. And I learned that the hard way of like trying to grow my LinkedIn network with everyone, for the first year or two. And then I'm like, hey, what's in it for me?
Yeah, you're like, wait a second, am I enjoying this? Who do I enjoy? Where is it just maybe easier, a little more effortless, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And then you're just, Drew Saenz on LinkedIn. It's your name. So it's not like there's any website or anything you want people to go to, or just find you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn works great. So just look me up, Drew Saenz, and I'm on there. And then teamupagency.com is our agency business. And that talks about a lot more details about the two niches we work with and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Amy.
Having said that, thank you for listening to today's podcast. If you got value from what we've provided, why not spread the love by sharing this episode with someone? Subscribe and follow the show so you never miss an episode. And give us a positive 5-star review or a thumbs up, depending on which platform you're currently on. For more stories and lessons, check out some of my other episodes. Thank you for showing up, and be well.